To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 5086, establishing a comprehensive training program for teachers of children with disability by Representative Vargas.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 5087, establishing a neurodevelopmental health scholarship and return service program by Representative Agarao.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 5088, providing financial assistance, services, and protection to family caregivers of persons with autism, neurodivergence, and disabilities by Representative Agarao.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 5089, establishing Local Education Governance Reform Act of 2025 by Representative Agarao.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 5090, mandating government departments, offices, agencies, LGUs, and GOCCs to source a minimum percentage of electricity from renewable energy, establishing the State-led Renewable Energy Advancement Act by Representative Agarao.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill 5091, penalizing the withholding or taking of government financial aid from beneficiaries of social service programs by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Social Services.
House Bill 5092, establishing regional offices and provincial offices of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
House Bill 5093, amending Section 4 of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Poverty Alleviation.
House Bill 5094, mandating government offices and/or establishments to allot at least 15% of their energy requirements to renewable energy by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Energy.
House Bill numbers 5095 and 5096, creating a branch of the RTC in Datuod, Sinsuat, and branches of MTCs in the 12th Judicial Region to be stationed in Datuod, Sinsuat, and Parang, Maguindanao del Norte by Representative Mastura.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 5097, increasing compensation of social workers in government service by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Social Services.
House Bill 5098, institutionalizing the Reducing Food Insecurity and Undernutrition with Electronic Vouchers Refuel Program as a food stamp initiative to combat involuntary hunger by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Social Services.
House Bill 5099, regulating public solicitations by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Social Services.
House Bill 5100, establishing a social work scholarship program for deserving students by Representative Almario Chino Miguel.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 5101, mandating the NDRRMC to provide a financial resilience program in the context of disaster preparedness by Representative Alba.
To the Committee on Disaster Resilience.
House Bill 5102, converting the extension campuses of the Southern Luzon State University in the city of Lucena and in the municipality of Tiaong, both in the province of Quezon, into regular campuses by Representative Suarez.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 5103, granting the President of the Republic of the Philippines emergency powers to expedite the construction, rehabilitation, and repair of classrooms nationwide by Representative Asidre.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 5104, creating the Health Emergency Auxiliary Reinforcement Team under the DOH by Representative Suarez.
Committee on Health.
House Bill 5105, converting the LTO located in Candelaria, Quezon by Representative Suarez.
Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 5106, creating a Congressional Commission on Agriculture by Representative Suarez.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food and Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources.
House Bill 5107, strengthening the Department of National Defense proper by Representative Romualdo.
To the Committee on National Defense and Security.
House Bill 5108, creating additional divisions in the Court of Appeals, increasing the number of Court of Appeals justices from 69 to 78 by Representative Suarez.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 5109, creating granting congressional franchise to Leyte 3 Electric Cooperative Inc. by Representatives Dagook and De Jesus.
To the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
House Bill 5110, instituting a national land use policy by Representative Zubiri.
To the Special Committee on Land Use.
House Bill 5111, strengthening the special program in creative arts for junior and senior high school by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture,
House Bill 5112, mandating the use of tethered caps on single-use plastic beverage containers by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Ecology,
House Bill 5113, providing comprehensive maternal health care, including immunization for pregnant women by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Health,
House Bill 5114, regulating the use of treatment technology for municipal and hazardous wastes by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Ecology,
House Bill 5115, creating the Philippine Center for Disease Prevention and Control by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Health,
House Bill 5116, establishing a framework for blue economy by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Economic Affairs,
House Bill 5117, establishing road safety curriculum, campaign, and training by Representative Zubiri.
to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture,
House Bill 5118, providing for a system of redistributing and recycling food waste to promote food security by Representative Zubiri.
to the Special Committee on Food Security,
Resolutions, House Resolution 323, commending and congratulating Padel Pilipinas for its championship victory in the 2025 Asia Pacific Padel Cup held in Selangor, Malaysia by Representative Hernandez Ferdinand.
to the Committee on Youth and Sports Development,
House Resolution 324, recognizing, congratulating, and commending the Philippine National Volleyball Federation for successfully hosting the 2025 FIBA Volleyball Men's World Championship by Representative D. Faustino Michael Carlos.
to the Committee on Youth and Sports Development,
Communication, report dated October 1, 2025 of the Secretary General, House of Representatives, on copies of the following enrolled bills which were returned to the Senate on September 18, 2025, and to be transmitted to the Office of the President for His Excellency's consideration and signature pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House. Senate Bill 2868 and House Bill 10987 on the proposed Anti-Pogo Act of 2025, and Senate Bill 2960 and House Bill 11543 on the proposed Lifelong Learning Development Framework Act.
thank you. Majority Leader. Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the guests of Deputy Majority Leader Jose Bong Teves Jr., Honorable Ann Matibag, Honorable Ramil Laurel Hernandez, Honorable Loreto Amante, Honorable Benjamin Agarao Jr., Honorable Walfredo Arman Dimagilla Jr., Honorable Charisse Ann Hernandez, and Honorable Roy Gonzalez. These are the officers of the Philippine Councilors League or PCL in Laguna. As follows, Honorable Arvin Mangiat, Wenny Jude Nipay, Ambiel John Panganiban, Nathaniel Bernales II, Carl Anthony Puño, Julian Rod Padrid, Virgilio J. Relova, Marian Erufino, John Paul Pahutan, Aldous Perez, Marlon Basas, Hans Christian Rondilla, and Attorney Ron Esquivel.
thank you, Majority Leader. To the guests of Deputy Majority Leader and recently elected President of the Philippine Party List Coalition Incorporated, Honorable Jose Bong J. Teves Jr., to the officers of the Philippine Councilors League, Laguna, on behalf of Speaker Faustino Boji D. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Magandang hapon. Maraming salamat. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the guests of Honorable Representative Attorney J.P. Pajernos of GP Party List.
Please proceed.
We have with us today guests from Nampikuan, Nueva Ecija, the Municipal Mayor Mario G. Lacurom, Municipal Councilors Reginaldo C. Pascual, Roberto S. Marquez, Jay Santos, Jervy Cruz, Kathleen Saclao, Municipal Administrator Franklin Macarayo, LGU employees Adrian Panogan, Vince Dunca, Neil Cabigao, Joy Dagman, Jonathan Garcia, and Alberto Roderos.
To the guests of Honorable John Attorney J.P. Padiernos, GP party list from led by the Mayor, Municipal Mayor Mario G. Lacorum of Nampikuan, Nueva Ecija. Saan sila? Please stand out there. Magandang hapon on behalf of Speaker Faustino D. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Maraming salamat. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize our Minority Leader, Honorable Marcelino Libanan.
The Honorable Marcelino Libanan, Minority Leader and recently elected Chairman of the PCFI, the Party List Coalition Foundation Incorporated. Congratulations, Minority Leader. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the part of the minority, I move to nominate and elect the following committees as member. Representative Sarah Jane Ilago of the Gabriela Women's Party List. Committee on Agriculture and Food, Committee on Agrarian Reform, Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries Resources, Committee on Foreign Affairs, Committee on Health, Committee on Housing and Urban Development, Committee on Human Rights, Committee on Interparliamentary Relations and Diplomacy, Committee on Justice, Committee on Land Use, Committee on Local Government, Committee on Natural Resources, Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs, Committee on Poverty Alleviation, Committee on Ways and Means, Committee on Youth and Sports Development, Committee on Globalization and WTO, Committee on Creative Industries, and Committee on Women and Gender Equality, Vice the Honorable Rene Co. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. There's a motion. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved. And congratulations to Gabriela Party List Sarah Jane Ilago. Daghang salamat. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with leave of the House, I move that we open the privilege hour.
The motion to open the privilege hour. Any objection? Chair hears none. Privilege hour is now open. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Marcelino Libanan of the Four-Piece Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
Our Chairman and Minority Leader, Marcelino Libanan, Minority Leader, you're recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, today I rise to honor the memory of the late Congressman Ali Pangalian Macaurao Balindong, a man whose life was defined by wisdom, dignity, and unwavering devotion to public service. Passed away last October 1, 2025 at the age of 85 years old. A proud son of Lanao del Sur, Congressman Balindong dedicated his life to the cause of the Bangsamoro people and to the pursuit of peace and justice for all. From being a delegate to the 1971 Constitutional Convention to his many years in Congress, and finally, as Speaker of the Bangsamoro Parliament, he embodied the very best of what it means to be a public servant, humble, steadfast, and true to his principles. He was the principal author of landmark measures such as Republic Act 9997, creating the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, and Republic Act 10908, the Integrated History Act of 2016, which ensures that the rich history and culture of Muslim Filipinos and indigenous peoples are taught to future generations. Through these laws, his legacy of unity and cultural respect lives on. He was to many of us not only a colleague, but also a mentor and a statesman of quiet strength. His deep understanding of the law and governance reflected a lifetime of service to the Bangsamoro people and to our nation. His words carried weight not only because they were loud, but because they were thoughtful, rooted in conviction, and guided by principle. I was fortunate to have known Congressman Balindong, not just as a colleague in public service, but as a brother, for in accordance with Muslim tradition, he adopted me as such. It was one of the greatest honors of my life. I have known Congressman Balindong for many years. Our acquaintance dating back to the second regional election of ARMM in September 1995. At the time, I was serving as Secretary General of the Lakas Youth when the late President Fidel V. Ramos directed me to proceed to Hulu-Sulong as one of the observers tasked to help ensure that peaceful conduct of elections. It was in my sincere desire to contribute to the cause of regional autonomy. It was there that I had the privilege of working with the late Representatives Diggs Zilangalin, John Macarambon, Vice Chairman Gadzali Jaafar, and Speaker Ali Pangalian Balindong. Those early days allowed me to see up close his calm resolve and his steadfast commitment to peace and self-governance. From that moment on, up to the establishment of the BARM, I witnessed firsthand how Congressman Balindong remained unwavering in his pursuit of genuine autonomy for the Bangsamoro. Our paths crossed again when I was serving as the Commissioner of the Bureau of Immigration, while he was lawmaker in the 14th Congress through the 16th Congress, which he served with distinction as Deputy Speaker. We served in different branches of government, but shared the same dedication to justice, integrity, and rule of law. I remember him as a principled man, patient and deeply respectful, even in disagreement. He was a bridge builder, a voice of reason, and a living symbol of unity between communities. His leadership was guided not by power, but by example, proof of the timeless truth that true leaders do not seek to command, but to inspire. They lead not with authority, but with integrity. To his family, please accept the deepest sympathies of the minority bloc in the House of Representatives. We agree with you, but we also celebrate a life of meaning and service, a life that has inspired countless others to serve with honor and humility. In Islam, it is said that the best of people are those who bring the most benefit to others. By that measure, Congressman Ali Balindong was truly among the best. May Allah grant him peace, and may his memory continue to light our path of service to the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Daghang salamat, Minority Leader. Well done, well said, sir. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Libanan to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there an objection? There hears none to the referral of the speech of Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan. Motion approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we recognize the guests of Congressman Attorney Timothy Joseph Tim Cayton from the Lone District of Vizcaya. His guests are as follows: Vice Governor of the Province of Nueva Vizcaya, Eufemia Dacayo, Board Members Eunice Galima Gambol, Flo de Monte Gerdan, Leia Tidang, John Babliing, Wilson Salas, Leonard Clemens Cadoy, Pablo Quindot, Don Rene Algura, Sangguniang Panlalawigan Secretary Moises Ruam Jr., and staff of the capital of the province of Nueva Vizcaya.
The province of Nueva Vizcaya, led by Vice Governor Eufemia Dacayo, Court Gallery, right. Hello, good afternoon. And board members, guests of Congressman and Attorney Timothy Joseph Tim E. Cayton, on behalf of Speaker D, welcome to the House of Representatives. Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Ricardo Cruz Jr. from the Lone District of Taguig City, Pateros for his privilege hour.
Please proceed, sir.
Kagalang-galang, Ginoong Speaker, mga iginagalang kong kasamahan sa Kongreso, magandang araw po. Ako po ay tumatayo ngayon hindi lamang bilang kinatawan ng unang distrito ng Taguig at Pateros, kundi bilang isang kapwa-miyembro ng kilusang kooperatiba, isang kilusan na nakaugat sa diwa ng pagkakaisa at pagtutulungan. Ang ating tema ngayong taon, Cooperatives United in Purpose and Action, Sharing Prosperity to Build a Better World, ay nagbibigay diin na ang kooperatiba ay hindi lamang organisasyon kundi isang pamayanan na nagbubuklod upang ang lahat ay makinabang at umunlad. Sa ating lungsod ng Taguig, meron tayong tinatayang 106 na aktibong kooperatiba na may pinagsamang kasapian na mahigit 531,000 individual. Pinamamahalaan nila ang mahigit 89 bilyon na halaga ng ari-arian na kumakatawan sa malaking bahagi ng kabuang yaman ng sektor ng kooperatiba sa buong bansa. Narito rin ang ating lungsod, ang dalawa sa pinakamalaking kooperatiba sa buong Pilipinas, ang ACDI Multipurpose Cooperative at Philippine Army Finance Center Producers Integrated Cooperative, na patuloy na kinikilala hindi lamang sa kanilang lawak at laki, kundi sa kanilang maayos na pamahala at malawak na kontribusyon sa lipunan. Bukod dito, lumalago rin ang mga transport at service cooperatives na nakakatulong sa profesionalisyon ng ating transportasyon at pagbibigay ng hanap buhay. Gayon din ang mga community at multipurpose cooperatives na nakaugat sa ating mga barangay at paaralan, microfinance at suporta sa kabuhayan ng mga pamilya. Ginoong Speaker, malinaw ang epekto ng kooperatiba sa ating komunidad. Hindi lamang sila tagapamahala ng ari-arian, Sila ay tagapagtaguyod ng pag-asa sa Taguig, Pateros. Marami na silang naisakatuparan para sa ating mga mamayan. 60 kasapi ng kooperatiba sa Taguig ang nakatanggap ng food cards mula sa DOLE bilang tulong sa kabuhayan ng kanilang mga miyembro. Kalakip ang pagsasanay sa tamang pamamahala ng negosyo at libreng health check-up. Bukod sa mga pagsasanay, ang Taguig Cooperative Development Office ay aktibo ring nagsasagawa ng mga programa tulad ng hand-holding caravans para sa sertifikasyon at pagsunod sa regulasyon. Libreng webinars para sa pamalakad at pamamahala ng kooperatiba. Mga seminar sa inobasyon at kasanayan sa negosasyon para sa mga leader at mga livelihood support gaya ng food cart, distribution kasama ng pagsasanay at health checks. Sa pamamagitan ng mga outreach at community giving, nakikibahagi rin sila hindi lang sa pagpapaunlad ng kasapi kundi sa pag-aalaga ng komunidad. Ito po ang tunay na mukha ng kooperatiba, pagbibigay ng oportunidad, pagpapalakas ng kabuhayan at pagbabago ng buhay. Hindi lamang para sa kanilang kasapi, kundi para sa buong komunidad. Mga kasama, ang kooperatiba ay buhay na halimbawa ng bayanihan sa ating makabagong lipunan. Sa pamamagitan nito, naipakita ang tunay na diwa ng pagtutulungan at pagkakapantay-pantay. Bilang isang kongresistang nagmula rin sa hanay ng kooperatiba, pinapangako ko na patuloy kong ipaglalaban ang kanilang kapakanan. Isusulong ko sa kapulungan ito ang mas malakas na pulisiya upang suportahan ang digitalisasyon, dagdag ng akses sa kapital at mas malawak na proteksyon sa kanilang operasyon. Sa pagtatapos, nais kong idiin ang pagkakaisa ng mga kooperatiba ay hindi lamang para sa kanilang kasapi, kundi para sa mas malawak na lipunan. Cooperatives united in purpose and action, sharing prosperity to build a better world. Isang adhikain na ating sama-samang isusulong para sa mas maunlad na Taguig, Pateros at buong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker, at mabuhay ang sektor ng kooperatiba.
Maraming salamat, Long District Taguig City, Pateros, Congressman Representative Ricardo S. Cruz Jr. Ading Cruz. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we acknowledge the guests of the Honorable Representative Dean Asistio of the 3rd District of Caloocan. Here with us today are the Quezon City Councilors, Councilor Doray Delarmante and Councilor Wency Lagumbay.
To the guests of Congressman Representative Dean Asistio, Quezon City, saan po sila? Councilors. Front. Welcome on behalf of Speaker Faustino Boje D. III. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Maraming salamat po. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we acknowledge the guests of Congresswoman Bernadette Det G. Escudero of the 1st District of Sorsogon, Sorsogon City Schools Division Superintendent William Gando, Sorsogon Province Division Superintendent Jose L. Doncillo, the principals, teachers, administrators, and staff from the DepEd Sorsogon Schools Division Office, namely Alejandro Hasmin, Erwin Henibre, Patrick Borabod, Joshua Domingano, Brian Deligro, Lori Bronola, Glenn Dolison, Cheryl V. Bermudo, Gina Q. Tarog, John Ray J. Perez, Josephine C. Ebuenga, Valentina E. Hugo, Aliana Erica D. Cortez, Rica D. Espigol, Eduardo H. Duran, Belardo G. Hadap Jr., Esperanza G. Espigol, Glenn E. Nacion, Dara Jane V. Baldres, Jane B. Balisoro, Fritz Harufil Garrido, Maylene B. Atienza, John Eron B. Banyega, Libertine Joy Baldillo, Josephine C. Ebuenga, Vincent Tanco, Prince Evanren P. Ludovice, Merla May H. Aducal, Joan Marie D. Domalaon, Janice O. Celino, Christy C. Evasco, Catherine D. Manalio, Christian L. Bitantes, Agnes G. Helio, Osaleo C. Grevialde, Maricris L. Resierdo, Carmen Notario, Eutequio Arias, Arnold M. Peralta, Franchel T. Razo, Christian De Jesus, Edgar Mejia, Venus Matuba, Adrian Eneria, Bobby M. Lieno Jr., Leonisa M. Enolva, Marian Z. Arines, Irene May V. Eli, Elmo Linzo, Marites J. Esalva, Alan Taroy, Michael Domanais, Junel C. Guantero, Julius Ranoco, Lenny Codon, and Eric C. Helililio.
Maraming salamat, Majority Leader. To the guests of the Vice Chair, APRO, Deputy Majority Leader, Bernadette D. Escudero, to the Sorsogon City School Division, led by William Gando, and officers in front of us, on behalf of Speaker Faustino Boje G. D. III, welcome to the House of Representatives. Magandang hapon. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from the Co-op NATCO party list, the Honorable Felimon Espares, to avail of the privileged hour.
Felimon Espares, Congressman, you are now recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues and the House of Representatives, I rise today as a matter of personal and collective privilege. This October, we celebrate the National Cooperative Month with the theme, Cooperatives United in Purpose and Action, Sharing Prosperity to Build a Better World. This coincides with the theme of the 2025 International Year of Cooperatives Build a Better World. This also marks the second time that the United Nations has declared the International Year dedicated to cooperatives, the first time being in 2012. This year's slogan of Cooperatives Building a Better World is not just some mere rhetoric. Ito ay isang muling pagpapatibay ng tunay na layunin ng kooperatiba, ang pagtutulungan, ang lakas ng sama-samang pagkilos at ang panata na maiangat ang bawat kasapi na tungo sa isang mundong mas maganda kung saan walang naiiwan. At ano ang papel ng kooperatiba sa layuning pagandahin at paunlarin ang buhay ng mga mamamayan? We look at the latest data from the Cooperative Development Authority or the CDA showing the tangible impact of cooperatives. Hindi tulad ng mga korporasyon kung saan ay ang kita ay napupunta lamang sa ilang tao. Ang halagang 27.3 billion na net surplus in 2024 alone ay naibabalik sa mahigit 13.6 million na membro ng mga kooperatiba sa buong bansa. Bukod pa dito, nakipag-generate ng kabuhayan ang mga kooperatiba para sa mahigit 335 employees or employment opportunities sa buong bansa. Cooperatives are also able to provide accessible and affordable credit, having released over 365 billion in loans for livelihood activities such as agriculture, trading, and manufacturing, as well as for the provincial loans needed for education, medical needs, and even house construction and repairs, among others. In terms of agriculture, marami na pong nakabili ng mga sarili nilang lupa, pinalawak at pinaunlad ang kanilang mga sakahan o kabuhayan at patuloy na umaasinso sa tulong ng kanilang kooperatiba na nagbibigay ng technical at financial assistance. Sa pamamagitan ng mga pautang na ito, natutulungan nila ang libu-libong membro kabilang na sa mga tinatawag na unbankable sector. Ang mga taong madalas hindi tinatanggap ng mga tradisyonal na bangko. Ngunit, niyakap ng ating mga kooperatiba para ay sila mabigyan ng pagkakataon na kumita at magkaroon ng pangkabuhayan. These cooperatives are able to give quality services and extend loans at affordable interest rates because of the tax-exempt privilege granted to cooperatives under Republic Act number 9520 or the Cooperative Code of the Philippines. But let us this be clear. Cooperatives are not tax-exempt for sake of privilege. Cooperatives are granted tax exemption because it has emphasized even in the case of Dumaguete Cathedral Credit Cooperative versus Commissioner of the Internal Revenue, no less than our Constitution guarantees the protection and promotion of cooperatives as Section 15, Article 12 thereof, mandating the promotion of the viability and growth of cooperatives as instruments for social justice and economic development. At kung titingnan naman natin ang pinaka-estruktura ng kooperatiba, sila ay tax-exempt dahil sa ilalim ng Republic Act number 9520, kinakailangan ibalik ang anumang surplus na nagmula mismo sa mga member owners sa pamamagitan ng dividendo. Bukod dito, sila din ay may mandato na magbigay pabalik sa kanilang mga komunidad sa pamamagitan ng Community Development Fund or CDF. Ayon sa CDA, umabot sa humigit kumulang 3.3 billion ang CDF contribution noong 2024 at kung saan ang pinakamalaking bahagi ay nilaan para sa educational assistance na umabot ng 168 million. Bukod dito, ginagamit ang CDF para sa iba't ibang social services tulad ng pagsusulong ng gender equality, pagpapangalaga sa kalikasan, disaster risk reduction, kalusugan at tulong sa mga kababaihan, kabataan at mga indigenous people. Cooperatives, therefore, are indispensable partners of the government in delivering services to members and communities, especially in far-flung areas where the government itself is even challenged to reach. Sa maraming lugar na hindi nararating ng ating mga ahensya ng gobyerno, ang kooperatiba ang tanging nagsisilbing tulay ng serbisyo at pati na rin ng pag-asa. The true measure of cooperatives therefore lies not in national figures but as its impact on our GDP, but in their impact on the grassroots level. Therefore, let the cooperatives continue to work without harassment and hindrance at the community level where they are needed most. At this point, Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank the present administration for supporting the cooperative sector and helping us achieve meaningful gains this year. I take this pride in our office effort in actively advocating and working with government agencies to ensure that cooperatives are given preference in government programs and projects. Kapag binibigyan ng prioridad ang mga kooperatiba, hindi lamang tagumpay ang makukuha ng pamahalaan, kundi tunay na accountability at transparency sa paggamit ng pondo. And then, beyond this month's celebration, let us also not to forget the challenges that lie ahead. Kung tunay nating hangad ang patuloy na pag-unlad ng mga kooperatiba, ako ay nananawagan sa ating mga kasamahan sa Kongreso na bigyang prioridad ang agarang pagpasa ng mga panukala na makatutulong sa mga kooperatiba, lalong-lalo na ang Revised Cooperative Code. This legislation will build upon years of momentum and secure for future generation a cooperative movement strong enough to uplift the socio-economic condition of the Filipino. That, ladies and gentlemen, this is the cooperative dream. Maraming salamat at maligayang Cooperative Month sa atin lahat.
Maraming damo gid salamat and happy Cooperative Month. Party List Coop Natco, Representative Filimon M. Espares. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the lady from the Lone District of General Santos City, the Honorable Sherlyn Banyas Nograles, to avail of the privilege R.
To the Lone District General Santos City, Congressperson Sherlyn L. Banyas Nograles. You're recognized, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honored guests, fellow members of this August Chamber, good afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. I rise today on a matter of both personal and collective importance. It is my duty to place these facts on record, not only to uphold the trust of my constituents, but also to ensure that accountability is properly directed. I also echo the sentiments of my people who have long awaited the completion of this vital infrastructure. May I speak, therefore, of the Mabuhay Underpass and Interchanges project in General Santos City, a development that once promised to ease traffic congestion, stimulate economic growth, and enhance mobility for thousands of commuters, yet now remains stalled, caught in a web of delays and uncertainty. In the recent months, this issue has captured national attention, including in the media and the Senate. Unfortunately, misinformation and disinformation had been circulated, raising doubts about the project and casting unwarranted blame. We cannot allow confusion to prevail. It is therefore imperative that we separate fact from fiction, so Congress and the Filipino people may clearly see what truly transpired. Only through transparency can we restore trust, complete this project, and ensure its lessons serve a clear blueprint for accountable and effective governance. May I direct your attention?
Sa General Santos City sa Mindanao, may idinulog din sa aming programa na underpass sa National Highway. Sana mabawasan ang lumalalang traffic sa syudad ng General Santos o GenSan, taong 2022, sinimulan daw itayo ang Mabuhay Underpass at ang inilaang pondo para rito, 659 million pesos. Makalipas ang 4 na taon, ito tapos. At sa halip daw na pagaanin nito ang traffic sa lungsod, lalo pang lumala.
Mahirap talaga dahil perwisyo sa trabaho.
sila mahuman. Okay na kayo na. Eh, mo naman ang swimming pool natin.
Kontraktor ang Vicente T. Lau Construction Corporation na nakabase sa Davao City. At ang sponsor ng proyektong ito, si Congresswoman Sherlyn Banyas.
I've been meeting with DPWH para malaman natin, because I really wanted to get to the bottom of things. What went wrong? Ano ba talaga yung nangyari? Yung pera ba nagagamit sa tama? Unfortunately, natulog ng sobrang 1 taon. Bakit? No, kasi I wasn't there. Hindi na ako public official that time. Pero, tininan ko naman sa budget, ang original proposal is 650 million. Ang nakita ko, umabot na ng 850. Saan napunta ang difference na more than 100 million actually? I'm so confused.
Isa sa talagang nakakabahala na reklamong tinugon sa akin ay ang Mabuhay Underpass National Highway sa General Santos City. The completion of the underpass, which broke ground on June 23, 2022, was originally set on September 2024. But if you visit Gensan, Mr. President, the underpass is far from finished. Ang kontraktor na nasabing proyekto ay ang Vicente T. Lau Construction. According to the people of Gensan, the traffic they experienced was really due to poor traffic management. Therefore, the underpass was actually unnecessary. Hindi talaga pinag-isipan ng project na ito. Sa katunayan, sabi po ng proponent ng proyekto, pinalagyan niya ng LED walls ang underpass dahil gusto niya ito maging tourist destination. Kung ano-ano talaga naisip ng mga tao kapag hindi nila pera ang ginagastos. Nagiging matalino ang ilan sa mga Pilipino kapag pera ang pinag-uusapan na pwedeng ilagay sa kanilang bulsa. Ngayon po, ang defective na underpass ay pinag-iipunan ng tubig na parang fish pond. You see, water being pumped out from below even if it did not rain. It is causing so much traffic because the open lanes are full of deep potholes. According to the DPWH Notice of Awards and various contracts covering the Gensan Underpass project, the total cost of the project is 657 million pesos. Bureau of Construction Director Alan S. Borromeo said, the contractor performance is strictly monitored. Pero bakit ang daming kapalpakan?
Gensan's struggle is not merely local. It signals deeper nationwide problems in infrastructure governance. When planning falters, execution fails, and accountability is absent, the promise of development collapses. Unless we act with urgency and resolve, the same costly mistakes could strike any district tomorrow. The notice to proceed for the project was issued on July 4, 2022, 4 days after my tenure in the 18th Congress has ended on June 30, 2022. It began with great promise, a 650 million investment to ease traffic, reduce travel time, and drive economic growth for our city and the entire Soxargen region. 4 packages, 32 months, completion by December 2024. That was the dream, Mr. Speaker. That was the plan. Let me first set the record straight. This project is being implemented solely by the Department of Public Works and Highways Central Office. I had no participation whatsoever in the contract award process, which notably was granted not to the lowest bidder, but to a contractor selected after 4 other bidders were disqualified. It is worth noting that this contractor had already experienced serious negative slippage in the previous vital infrastructure project in General Santos City, particularly General Santos City International Airport. Furthermore, the budget preparation and initial allocations under General Appropriations Act for fiscal 2019 and 2020 were completed even before I assumed office in the 18th Congress in November 2019. But DPWH Region 12 was not able to implement the project and hence endorsed the allocated funds to DPWH Central Office. Contrary to what has been said, this project did not appear overnight. Its conception was the result of years of persistent local and regional advocacy to ease traffic congestion in General Santos City. As early as 2015, the Sangguniang Panglungsod of General Santos City passed Resolution 519 urging DPWH to prioritize an overpass or underpass at the National Highway Bulaong-Mabuhay Junction. Subsequent resolutions in 2016 reinforced this call, pushing for feasibility studies, prioritization, and construction of a 4-lane underpass or overpass structure as warranted. Finally, in 2019, a comprehensive traffic impact study carried out jointly by DPWH and City Government of General Santos confirmed that underpass was the most effective solution to the city's congestion problem. Thus, it is very clear that this project has already been in the pipeline years before I assumed office as representative of then 1st District of South Cotabato and General Santos City. My role began only at the stage of ensuring that this long-requested project was finally granted funding support at the national level. In fact, in that same year, the Sangguniang Panglungsod of General Santos City passed a resolution requesting my office to endorse the inclusion of the project in the national budget amounting to 1.2 billion for the establishment of an underpass. In 2020, the Regional Development Council, or RDC 12, formally endorsed the project under DPWH Fiscal Year 2020 budget through Resolution Number 29. The City Development Council of General Santos City reinforced this commitment, declaring underpass as among one of the city's top priorities for Regional Development Council 12 and all relevant national agencies to consider. Another thing, Mr. Speaker, let me state this with absolute clarity. The decision to build an underpass was neither whimsical, capricious, or arbitrary. It was a conscious and strategic choice anchored on data, driven by collective vision for a modern and efficient General Santos City. This was not a product of impulse or opinion, but the outcome of feasibility studies, consultations, and comprehensive traffic impact study, all of which pointed to the underpass as the most viable solution to congestion based on the following compelling reasons. First, cost efficiency. An underpass of the same scale would have demanded a far larger budget due to heavier structural requirements, more complex engineering, and extended construction timelines. The underpass offered a more prudent and judicious use of limited public funds. Second, environmental impact. Overpass exacerbates the urban heat island effect, trapping and radiating heat. In a city like General Santos, where temperatures already run high, such a design would have further burdened commuters and nearby communities. Third, preservation of landscape, commerce, and property values. An overpass would have obstructed storefronts, disrupted the cityscape, dampened commerce, and lowered property values. By contrast, an underpass integrates with terrain, minimizing disruption to businesses and preserving long-term economic viability. And fourth, traffic flow and gridlock prevention. At the junction of National Highway, Mabuhay and Bulaong Avenue, an overpass would have created a 3-point gridlock at ground level, moving congestion rather than resolving it, trapping vehicles beneath the structure. And finally, let me correct another misleading claim. The supposed installation of the lead wall at the underpass as part of this project is not simply true. While it was initially considered, it was never included in the approved program of works. Hindi lahat ng ating naririnig ay totoo. Not everything we hear is true. Funding was programmed through a multi-year obligation authority totaling to 650 million. 256 in 2021, 220 in 2022, 86.95 in 2023, and another 86 million in 2024. While Package 1 was appropriated in 2021, its release was deferred as pandemic response took precedence. But lo and behold, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, the reality has strayed far from the plan. The project, which was originally consisted of 4 well-defined work packages, was restructured into 5. Mr. Speaker, beyond the figures, the true burden is carried by the people. A mother leaves before dawn to bring her children to school. What should be a 15-minute trip now takes almost an hour. By the time she arrives at work, her day is already shortened by traffic. A tricycle driver who once managed 10 trips now makes only 5. His income is cut in half, but his fuel, food, tuition bills remain the same. Businesses have borne the brunt of this project, particularly those located along the construction site. Many suffered significant revenue losses due to inaccessibility, constant disruption, dust, and flooding. Some were forced to close down, while few managed to survive only by relocating. And the barricades and idle machinery on the site stand as monuments to broken promises. During the project's implementation, I chose not to interfere out of courtesy to the sitting officials. But as time passed, it became hard to ignore that something was deeply amiss. That was when we began to ask, what went wrong? And so, we made a solemn commitment to the people of General Santos City that upon our return to office, we would get to the bottom of it. True to our commitment, Mr. Speaker, upon assuming the office in the 20th Congress, we immediately exercised our legislative oversight. We organized a project inspectorate team, conducted multiple ocular inspections, and consulted geotechnical and structural experts to identify what went wrong, where errors occurred, and whether public funds were properly spent. During coordination meetings with DPWH, Socoteco II, the contractor and consultants on June 28, 2025, July 22, August 12, August 23, September 12, September 18, it became clear that the root cause was a failure of technical due diligence, a fundamental lapses in the preparation where critical factors has been underestimated or entirely overlooked. Consequently, the project cost surged from 650 to 814 million, partly due to the inclusion of traffic signalization component, an item that was originally and separately funded by the city government. How and why this was incorporated into the project budget remains in question. I am still at loss as to why it was included in the first package, in the first place. Deadlines subsleep dramatically, and of the 5 work packages, only 1 has been completed. 3 are suspended, and 1 has not even started. Mr. Speaker, allow me to explain, as what happened here could occur in any district. Past experiences in other cities, including challenges encountered during the construction of certain problematic flyover projects, as reported, remind us of the importance of due diligence, proper studies, and accountability. We must ensure that these difficulties are not repeated. So after series of ocular inspections and investigation, we have found out the following. First, the geotechnical investigation was grossly inadequate. For a 13,320 square meter underpass, only 5 boreholes were drilled, when standard engineering practice would have required at least 24. This alone should have raised serious red flags. As a result, while geotechnical report indicated groundwater at depth of 8 meters, actual excavation revealed it at only 4 meters, a glaring miscalculation that speaks to the lack of technical rigor in the project's preparatory phase. This fundamental error triggered redesigns, suspension order, and cascading delays. Worse, no electrical resistivity tomography, or ERT, was ever conducted, a critical omission because ERT could have accurately mapped groundwater levels and soil resistivity, providing a reliable picture of subsurface condition before construction even began. The consequence was predictable: uncontrollable groundwater seepage. Second, the budget for the investigation was severely underallocated. Only 1.1 million, or 0.14% of the total project cost. By international best practice, geotechnical studies for a project of this scale should account for at least 1 to 3% of the total cost. Cutting corners here may have saved a little at the start, but it cost us dearly in the long run. Third, the catchment capacity was disproportionately small compared to actual rainfall volumes. It was originally designed to hold only 97 cubic meters of stormwater runoff, later revised to 132 cubic meters. For an underpass of an area of 13,320 square meters, the highest monthly rainfall of 118.1 millimeters under normal conditions, according to DOST Pag-asa report on climatological normals for General Santos City, would generate approximately 1,570 cubic meters of storm water runoff, nearly 12 times the reservoir's 132 cubic meter capacity. Under the highest monthly rainfall of 189.5 millimeters under extreme condition as documented in the DOST Pag-asa report, runoff would reach around 2,500 cubic meters, nearly 19 times the reservoir's capacity. Mr. Speaker, these figures prove beyond doubt that the reservoir as designed is not only undersized, but dangerously incapable of serving its purpose. Fourth, variation and suspension orders gravely undermined progress, some dragging on for nearly a year just to secure approval. Midstream changes derailed sequencing and triggered cascading delays. Mr. Speaker, these findings paint a troubling picture of systemic failure. A chain of errors that began with inadequate studies was compounded by underfunding of geotechnical investigation and culminated in flawed design and slow execution. The data are clear. Investigations were incomplete, budgets severely underallocated, the reservoir undersized, and red tape obstructed timely approval of variation orders. These are not mere lapses in judgment, but outright failures of governance, planning, and accountability. The consequences are plain for all to see. During heavy rains, a backhoe is reduced to the absurd task of pumping water out of the underpass instead of building it. These lapses are not minor. They highlight how can incomplete technical studies lead to problematic project design, and unforeseen challenges can compromise a project's success. Similar issues have been reported in other infrastructure projects in other cities, where soil conditions and foundation design required adjustment, leading to delays and additional costs. The parallels are unmistakable: flawed geotechnical studies, underfunded investigations, and design discrepancies, the very same weakness now haunting General Santos City Mabuhay Underpass project. If we do not act now, if we fail to enforce accountability, strengthen oversight, and demand competence, the Mabuhay Underpass will not only reflect the DPWH's incompetence, echoing the embarrassment of other cities' failed projects, but may also become General Santos City symbol of wasted opportunity and eroded public confidence. And so, what do we have now? Ballooning cost, 3 suspended work packages, wasted appropriations, disrupted business operations, inconvenience to motorists, and a project timeline that expired in 2024 with not a single underpass completed. The site, instead of easing traffic, has become bottleneck, and worse, a source of national ridicule on social media, mockingly portrayed as giant swimming pool. Implications are serious. Escalating costs without result. Taxpayers pay more, but see little in return. Suspended works and missed deadlines. With 3 of 5 packages suspended and 32 months completion, period-long lapse, the timeline is irretrievably broken. Third, diminishing public trust. Commuters face daily congestion, businesses lose income, and confidence in government projects continues to erode. Instead of progress, this underpass risks becoming a monument to inefficiency and waste. Colleagues, the government has established clear standards to prevent failures like this. DPWH guidelines allow only up to 15% negative slippage, a threshold this project has already breached. Quality assurance program require accurate geotechnical surveys, but groundwater miscalculation is a glaring lapse. And under COA Circular 2012-003, unjustified delays amount to irregular, unnecessary, and wasteful expenditures. Had these safeguards been enforced, Mr. Speaker, we would not face ballooning costs, suspended works, and growing public frustration. This representation has pursued every avenue to demand accountability and enforce corrective action. Even before formally returning to this chamber in the 20th Congress, we took action. On June 2, 2025, we wrote the chairperson of COA to raise urgent concerns about the underpass project. By June 28, 2025, we confronted DPWH officials and the contractor to expose the grim realities on the ground. These were not acts of someone waiting for authority. They were deliberate actions of one determined to protect the people's trust. These efforts stand as clear expression of our unwavering commitment to responsible oversight, genuine support for progress, and safeguarding of public interests, free from the trappings of grandstanding or politics. Yet, the persistence of these failures show that oversight alone is not enough. What we face is a deep rot, flaws in planning, technical execution, and project management that, if left unchecked, will continue to drain public funds and betray public trust. Yung nangyari po dito sa General Santos, hindi lang po dito nangyari, I'm sure that other district is happening as well. This is an infrastructure governance crisis of national scale. one that wastes taxpayers' money, paralyzes communities, erodes faith in government itself. Unless systemic reforms are made, this underpass will not only remain unfinished, it will stand as monument to inefficiency and neglect, and so other infrastructure projects similarly situated. We therefore urge the Committee on Public Works and Highways to investigate, in aid of legislation, the causes of delay, utilization of funds, the deficiencies in geotechnical studies, the underfunding of investigations, and design discrepancies in this project. From this experience, we must craft measures that will strengthen the implementation of public infrastructure and ensure that no project ever again suffers the same fate. We urge the Department of Public Works and Highways to conduct an immediate technical review and redesign of the project to address the persistent groundwater seepage, to reassess the capacity of catchment basin. In doing so, DPWH is further enjoined to undertake a more extensive geotechnical investigation and to conduct ERT or electrical resistivity tomography to obtain accurate subsurface data that will guide proper engineering intervention and ensure the long-term integrity of the structure. It is hoped that, as a matter of national policy, comprehensive geotechnical investigation should precede every project of this scale. At this stage, it is both prudent and necessary to conduct ERT alongside thorough geotechnical studies. Think of ERT as a safety scan for the ground, much like a prenatal or ultrasound checks a baby's well-being before birth. It allows engineers to detect hidden soil and groundwater conditions, ensuring decisions are guided by solid science rather than guesswork. My dear colleagues in this august chamber, let us rise above partisan lines and stand united in demanding accountability. We are the guardians of people's money and the stewards of their trust. If we fail to act decisively, we risk normalizing negligence and waste at every corner of our infrastructure program. This is not just about General Santos City. It is about setting a national standard that says public funds must always be spent with integrity, competence, and responsibility. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the Filipino people are watching how we respond. Their mobility, their businesses, their faith in the government depends on how well we deliver. When deadlines lapse, funds are wasted, and accountability is absent, people do not merely lose patience, they lose trust. And once trust is broken, it is hardest to rebuild. Let us therefore send a clear message. Inefficiency will not be tolerated, negligence will not be rewarded, and public funds will never be treated as an afterthought. Let us restore public trust in infrastructure governance so that this project and every project under our watch truly delivers progress for the Filipino people. And finally, may we respectfully request that a copy of this speech be furnished to Senator Raffy Tulfo and DPWH Central Office for their consideration and guidance. Again, guidance. Accurate data are vital for sound decision-making or for ensuring effective and transparent oversight. We likewise extend our appreciation to Ms. Jessica Soho and Kapuso Mo Jessica Soho team for the balanced and comprehensive reporting, which not only brought this issue to the forefront of public discourse, but also empower the people of General Santos City to demand accountability and transparency. We also thank and acknowledge Senator Tulfo for highlighting this matter at the national level. Even some details initially reported may have required further research and clarification. Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, atensyon, at pagtitiis sa pakikinig sa usaping ito. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. Daghang salamat, Congresswoman Banyas Nograles. Majority Leader?
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Sherlyn L. Banyas Nograles to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of Honorable Banyas Nograles is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, also I move to refer the speech of Representative Filimon M. Espares, who earlier availed of the privilege R, to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of Natco Espares, Congressperson, is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the privilege R for another hour to allow other members who registered from the Committee on Rules to avail of the privilege R.
Thank you. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Privilege R extended for another 60 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Representative Jose Manuel Tadeo Chel I. Jokno of the Akbayan Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
Party List Akbayan, Representative Jose Manuel Tadeo Chel I. Diokno. You have the floor, sir. You're recognized. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I rise on a personal and collective privilege to raise a fundamental concern on the ballooning unprogrammed appropriations in the national budget. What was once intended as a limited standby authority for contingencies has now evolved into a parallel budget system, a system that undermines transparency, fiscal discipline, and most dangerously, the constitutional power of the purse. Let us look at the record. From 2022 to 2025, the insertions to the unprogrammed appropriations reached nearly 1 trillion pesos. In 2023 and 2024 alone, Congress authorized 1.53 trillion pesos in unprogrammed appropriations. Dagdag pa rito, para sa 2026 national budget, ang proposed unprogrammed appropriations sa NEP ay humigit kumulang 250 billion pesos. Higit na mas mataas sa 2025 NEP proposal sa unprogrammed appropriations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not fiscal prudence, it is fiscal abuse. When we examine the details of the 2026 NEP, we see allocations that are not contingencies at all, but big-ticket, pre-planned programs. Ilan dito ang 80.86 billion pesos for strengthening assistance for government infrastructure and social programs. Another 97.3 billion pesos for foreign-assisted projects. Another 50 billion pesos for the revised AFP modernization program. 6.7 billion pesos for health emergency allowances, among others. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, these are clearly programmed obligations that should have been placed under the regular budget, not hidden in the unprogrammed appropriations. By parking them in the unprogrammed appropriations, we are effectively giving the executive a blank check worth $250 billion pesos. Worse, these funds have become a fund for pork barrel politics. Ang kagalang-galang na Committee on Appropriations Chair, Micaela Swansing na mismo, ang nagkumpirma na 141 billion pesos worth of flood control projects in 2023 and 2024 were charged to the unprogrammed appropriations. Alam ng sambayan ng Pilipino ang pagwaldas ng pondo dito sa flood control projects na ito. These projects were never scrutinized as programmed line items. They simply appeared in the shadows of the budget process. In addition, funds that should have been programmed for education, health, and social protection were sidelined into a pool of discretionary spending. This reveals a troubling reality raised by many Filipinos and civil society groups. Ginagawa nilang discretionary fund and unprogrammed appropriations. This is a clear betrayal of our constitutional duty. The power to appropriate funds rests exclusively with Congress. By treating unprogrammed appropriations as a broad discretionary fund and allowing the executive, through the DBM, wide leeway to release funds through a special allotment release order outside of the program budget and without legislative scrutiny, we are surrendering the power of the purse to the executive department. The result? Billions of pesos hidden from the Filipino people. Billions of pesos released without clear reporting. Even the Department of Health Secretary admitted he could not account for 89.9 billion pesos for PhilHealth funds that were supposedly returned to the Treasury. We cannot continue to treat the unprogrammed appropriations as a magic pot where projects are dumped without accountability. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I therefore propose that we reduce to zero the unprogrammed appropriations line in the budget. Kami po sa Akbayan Party List ay hindi papayag na gawin gatasan ng kaban ng bayan. Ang pagnakaw ng bilyones na public funds sa mga flood control projects ay hindi na dapat maulit. Not on our watch. Hindi po sana tayo aabot sa ganito if those in charge of the previous budgets had not reallocated program items, especially those for education, health, and social protection, into the unprogrammed appropriations. If they had not placed pork-prone items into the UA, and if they had required real-time transparency down to the special allotment release order level with open data reporting accessible to the public. Had those measures been undertaken in the previous budgets, zeroing out the unprogrammed appropriations would not have been necessary. Pero sa lagay po natin ngayon na sumisigaw ang taong bayan sa galit dahil sa trilyones na nawawala at ninanakaw, we must enforce fiscal discipline, stop parking big-ticket programs in unprogrammed appropriations, and reclaim the power of the purse. Thank you. Good day to everyone.
Maraming salamat. Akbayan Party List, Chel Diokno. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Chel Diokno to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action.
Is there no objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of Honorable Akbayan Party List Chel Diokno is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Representative Sara Jane I. Ilago of the Gabriela Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
Gabriela Party List, Representative Sara Jane I. Ilago. You're recognized, ma'am. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, mga kapwa kinatawan sa kapulungang ito, mga kababaihang Pilipino at tagapagtaguyod ng karapatang pantao, at sa lahat ng mga nakikinig, nakikiisa at naririto ngayon sa ating sesyon sa plenaryo, isang maalab at mapagpalayang pagbati sa inyong lahat. This privileged speech marks the first out of the countless other opportunities that we will seize to constantly amplify the calls and clamors of our fellow Filipino women. Thus, at this point, allow me to talk about a very important topic that is close to our day-to-day encounters and experiences within and beyond the halls of Congress. The fight for genuine representation of marginalized and underrepresented sectors. Mr. Speaker, pumasok ang representasyong ito sa Kongreso ilang buwan matapos ang opisyal na pagbubukas ng sesyon noong Hulyo at habang nasa deliberasyon ng pambansang budget sa plenaryo. At ang tumambad sa atin, nakalululang alokasyon sa mga programa at proyektong vulnerable sa patronahe at korupsyon, gaya ng infrastruktura at ayuda, hitik na pondo para sa matinding militarisasyon. Nandyan din ang kulang na suporta para sa mga pampublikong ospital, eskwelahan at panlipunang serbisyo, lalo yung mga nakatuon sa mga vulnerableng kababaihan at kabataan, gaya ng adolescent reproductive health programs, social protection program for adolescent mothers and their children, at solo parent subsidies. Lahat ito ay nananatiling napakababa o hindi na paglalaanan maski piso mula sa ating pondo. Higit sa lahat, pinakamatingkad ang pagsasantabi at kawalan ng pondo para sa mga komprehensibong reforma gaya ng pagpapalakas sa lokal na agrikultura at industriya tungo sa seguridad sa pagkain at paglikha ng mas maraming trabaho at kabuhayan para sa nakararaming Pilipino. Ang mga kababaihan ay masusing nagbabantay at nagbubusisi sa kung paano nga ba gagamitin ang pera ng taong bayan sa susunod na taon. Nagpatuloy ang pagsusulong sa karapatan ng kababaihan sa kabila ng ilang buwang pag-antala sa lehitimong pagproklama at pagpapaupo sa tunay na kinatawan ng kababaihan sa Kongreso. At ngayon sa pagproklama sa Gabriela Women's Party sa desisyon ng COMELEC na tiyakin ang pag-abot sa 20% para sa party list representation sang-ayon sa konstitusyon nitong Setyembre, nais rin naming itaas ang diskurso sa sistema ng politikang umiiral sa ating lipunan sa kasalukuyan, Mr. Speaker. Tunay nga bang demokratikong naitatampok at naisusulong ang interes ng mga marginalisado at naisasantabing sektor? It is not so long ago since the Supreme Court released a decision in 2013 reiterating that the party list system need not be reserved solely for marginalized and underrepresented sectors. Since then, we have observed the shrinking participation of our basic marginalized sectors such as farmers, fisherfolk, workers, indigenous groups, persons with disability, and women in the Philippine policy-making landscape. Liban sa kumikitid na espasyo para sa politikal na partisipasyon ng kababaihan at iba pang marginalisadong sektor, mahalaga ring pag-usapan ang tahasang atake at panggigipit para patahimikin at patigilin ang mga kababaihang aktivista, organisador at tanggol karapatan sa paggampan sa kani-kanilang mahalagang gawain. In recent years, specifically since the issuance of the Executive Order No. 70 and the enactment of the anti-terrorism law, our women constituents as well as fellow women advocates and human rights defenders from various grassroots organizations and alliances were subjected to numerous cases of threats, harassment, intimidation, illegal detention, and extrajudicial killings. Even the Supreme Court declared red tagging, vilification, labeling, and guilt by association as acts that threaten a person's right to life, liberty, or security. This is also affirmed by international institutions such as the United Nations, wherein UN Special Rapporteur Irene Khan recognized the dangers brought about by red tagging that often resulted in unlawful surveillance, attacks, arrest, and killings. Mr. Speaker, we also called on the Commission on Human Rights and this very House Committee on Human Rights to investigate these widespread and systematic attacks against women, human rights defenders, and advocates, where most of the cited cases involved constituents of Gabriela Women's Party and were also reported as perpetrated by reported state forces. Ang ilan sa mga kasong itinampok namin ay ang paniniktik at panggigipit kay Belinda Aliere, ang Deputy Secretary General ng Gabriela Women's Party na nitong nakaraang buwan lamang ng Setyembre ay makailang ulit na pinuntahan ng dalawang kalalakihang napag-alamang miyembro ng AFP para sa pilitang pahintuin sa kanyang napakahalagang gawain. At hindi ito ang unang beses, Mr. Speaker, ang mismong leader kababaihan ng Amihan National Federation of Peasant Women sa Cagayan na si Emilia Ventura ay pinuntahan din ng isang pinaghihinalaang ahenteng nanggagalang Jeric Santos sa kanilang tahanan at pagkatapos ay sinundan para sa pilitang isakay sa motorsiklo. Ganito rin ang mga pananakot at panggigipit na nararanasan ni Jacqueline Ratin, Miriam Villanueva at Tess De Jesus. At marami pang mga katulad ni na Belinda, Emilia, Jacqueline, Miriam at Tess. Ngunit ilan lamang ang mga ito sa mga serye ng kaso ng panggigipit at pang-iintimida sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa na sumasalamin sa sistematikong atake na kinakaharap ng representasyon ng kababaihan sa araw-araw. Ang lehitimong pagkilos para isulong ang representasyon ng kababaihan sa araw-araw sa pagtindig sa karapatan sa pagsasaka, sa pabahay, at iba pang batayang kahingian ng marhinalisadong mga sektor ng kababaihang Pilipino ay tinatapatan ng panreredtag, panggigipit at paglabag sa karapatang pantao na sa konkreto ay pinahihina lamang ang nagkakaisang tinig ng kababaihang Pilipino na fundamental sa isang demokratikong lipunan na tunay na nagtataguyod sa interes ng taong bayan. Mr. Speaker, sa kabuang kurso ng pag-inog ng kasaysayan, walang natamasa at napagtagumpayan ang kababaihan nang hindi ito kolektibong ipinaglalaban. Sa isang lipunang mayroong pagtatangi batay sa uri, kasarian, at iba pang panlipunang kategorya, hindi pinagkakaloob ng basta-basta ang karapatan ng kababaihan. Ipinaglaban at ipinaglalaban ang mga ito. Mula kina Gabriela Silang, Gregoria De Jesus na nakidigma para itatwa ang abuso ng mga kolonisador, sa kababaihan ng malolos na iginiit ang kanilang karapatan sa edukasyon, ang kilusang suffragist at ang daan-daang libong kababaihang Pilipinong ikinampanya ang ating karapatan sa pagboto at politikal na partisipasyon sa isang plebisito. Mga kababaihang aktivista at martir gaya ni na Lorena Barros at Liliosa Hilaw na buong tapang na lumaban sa diktadorya, hanggang sa kababaihan ng kontemporaryong panahon na patuloy na nagsasama-sama para isulong ang karapatang pantao ng kapwa nila kababaihan at mamamayan, ngunit sinusuklian naman ng pandarahas ng mga puwersa ng Estado. Esensyal ang pagsasama-sama at paglaban ng kababaihang Pilipino. Yan ang ating natutunan sa kasaysayan, kaya tayo rin ay handang gumawa ng kasaysayan. Bilang pagtatapos, Mr. Speaker, hayaan niyo akong basahin ang maiksing sipi mula sa tula ng makabayang Makata na si Joy Barrios na pinamagatang "Ang pagiging babae ay pamumuhay sa panahon ng digma." Walang sandaling panganib sa sariling tahanan, ang pagsagot at pagsuway ay pag-akit sa pananakit. Sa lansangan, ang paglalakad sa gabi ay pag-anyaya sa kapahamakan. Sa aking lipunan, ang pagtutol sa kaapihan ay paglalandad sa higit na karahasan. Kay tagal kong pinag-aralan ang punot dulo ng digmaan. Sa huli ay naunawaan na ang pagiging babae ay walang katapusang pakikibaka para mabuhay at maging malaya. Mr. Speaker, so long as Philippine society is fraught with ills of inequality and injustice, so long as women are subjected to further and further economic precarity and social insecurity, the need for genuine women's representation remains. Hanggat nasasadlak ang kababaihang Pilipino sa malawakang kahirapan, kawalan ng maayos na paninirahan, kawalan ng lupa, kawalan ng trabaho, at kawalan ng nakabubuhay na sahod, hanggat marami pa ring kababaihan ang naaabuso batay sa kasarian, hanggat marami pa ring kababaihang OFW ang napipilitang makipagsapalaran sa ibang bansa upang masuportahan ang kanilang pamilya sa ilalim ng labor export policy, hanggat napag-iiwanan ang kababaihang PWD sa inaccessableng disenyo ng mga pasilidad sa ating lipunan, at hanggat kabi-kabila pa rin ang paglabag sa karapatang pantao, magpapatuloy ang representasyong ito kasama ang malawak na hanay ng kababaihan at mamamayan para sama-samang kumilos tungo sa pagtitiyak at pagtatanggol ng ating mga karapatan, sa pagsusulong ng panlipunang katarungan at pagsasakatuparan ng tunay at ganap na kalayaan ng taong bayan. Maraming salamat at laban kababaihan.
Thank you, Honorable Ilago. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Sara Jane I. Ilago to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of Honorable Ilago is referred to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action. Majority Leader.
And also, Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Ricardo S. Cruz Jr. to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The speech of Honorable Ading Cruz is referred to the Committee on Rules for appropriate action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Representative Salvador A. Plato of the 6th District of Bulacan to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Salvador Plato is recognized. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, our distinguished colleagues, and esteemed guests, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Every October, we celebrate Elderly Filipino Week as mandated by Proclamation number 470, series of 1994. And this year's theme, Embracing Age, Living a Life with Dignity and Purpose, truly captures the essence of this stage in life. It is but fitting and proper that we do recognize the significant contributions of senior citizens to nation building and confront the issues and concerns affecting the elderly sector. As the oldest in age here in the House of Representatives, but with the agility of 30 ba, 40 or 50 something, I rise to the occasion to honor our senior citizens, considered as the living repositories of our nation's history, culture, and wisdom. Each wrinkle tells a story of a struggle overcome. Each silver thread of hair signifies a lesson learned. But beyond the ceremonies and tributes, this celebration is not just about looking back. It is about looking forward. It is a firm declaration that the pursuit of a meaningful life does not fade with retirement. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that every Filipino senior citizen lives with profound dignity, the dignity of respect, the dignity of comprehensive care, and the dignity of being fully heard and valued in our society. Mr. Speaker, it is said that the true measure of society is how it treats its most vulnerable members. In that measure, the welfare of our elderly is a reflection of who we are as a people. While our senior citizens have built the foundations of our communities and sacrificed for the progress we now enjoy, many of them are living their twilight years in poverty, illness, and neglect. Una po, Mr. Speaker, marami sa ating mga senior citizens ang walang stable na source of income after retirement. Lalo na mga nagtrabaho sa informal sector, kaya't wala silang pensyon. This is the reality that we have to face. Those who do rely on your SSS or GSIS pensions find that the amount is not enough to meet even your basic needs, especially amid the rising prices of food, utilities, and medicines. Ang binibigay ng gobyerno na social pension as a gesture of compassion is no longer sufficient for today's cost of living. Pangalawa po, Mr. Speaker, ang usaping health and access to medical care. We cannot deny the fact that the old age comes with illness. Yet many of our elderly struggle to afford medicines, diagnostic tests, or hospital care. While PhilHealth coverage has improved, gaps remain, especially for maintenance drugs, geriatric care, and long-term treatment. Lalong-lalo na iyong nakatira sa mga liblib na lugar, umaasa na lang sa gamot galing sa mga health centers na kung minsan kulang-kulang o kaya worse, wala pa. Pangatlo, social neglect and loneliness. The sad reality, Mr. Speaker, is that many of our senior citizens experience social isolation, lalong-lalo na kapag sila ay nagkasakit. Walang tumitingin sa kanila o nangungumusta. Some are left alone by families who migrate for work. Relatives have families of your own, while others are abandoned altogether. May mga sitwasyon na makikita natin silang nagpapalimos. At yung iba naman ay dinadala sila sa mga home for the aged. Nakalimitan, overcrowded na rin. Mabuti kung mayroon home for the aged sa lahat ng probinsya, especially sa far-flung areas. Pang-apat, Mr. Speaker, digital and social exclusion. In this age of digital transformation, many elderly Filipinos are left behind. Gaya ng transaksyon sa bangko, sa healthcare appointments, sa pagkuha ng benefits sa gobyerno na naging online na rin. Gaya ng sa GSIS, bigla na lang natigil ang aking akarampot na pensyon. Yung pala dapat mong i-download na tinatawag na GSIS application upang doon mo gagawin ang mag-appear o active program for information reintegration. Paano na lang ang mga nasa liblib na lugar kung wala silang mga cellphone or wifi? Ganun na lang ba na ititigil ang kanilang mga pensyon? O kaya dapat bumibiyay pa sila papunta sa malalayong GSIS offices para maturuan nito? Without assistance, many senior citizens are able to access these services, cutting them off from opportunities and benefits rightfully theirs. Mr. Speaker, I humbly call on this august body, let us commit to being the active hands that uphold the dignity of our elders, creating a nation where every senior is not just surviving, but truly thriving with purpose. Your hands were once toiled to feed the younger generation. Your wisdom continues to guide the younger citizens, and your sacrifices made them what they become today. Naway, magkaroon po tayo ng isang bansa na naniniwala ang pagtanda ay hindi pasanin, kundi isang pribilehyo. In closing, Mr. Speaker, allow me to quote Nelson Mandela when he said, and I quote, "A society that does not value its elder people denies its roots and endanger its future." Unquote. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker. Mabuhay ang mga senior citizens. Thank you po.
Thank you. The Honorable Plato. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Salvador A. Plato.
Is there any objection?
I withdraw the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
I move to recognize the Honorable Representative Percy Sandoval to interpolate or to make a manifestation.
it's Percy
Yes, the
Sandana,
gentleman's
Mr.
allowed.
Speaker. Yes, thank you. This is to express the most profound support, Mr. Speaker, to the message of the youngest member of the House of Representatives at heart, for his very passionate call for action to this House for us to give due attention and priority to the interests of for the welfare and well-being of our senior citizens. Indeed, hindi pasanin ang pagtanda kundi isang pribilehiyo, as the good representative has put it. Having said this, Mr. Speaker, we hope that the other members of the House of Representatives who share the same passion for the senior citizens in our country will also share our passion for the immediate passage of an important measure that will give protection to our senior citizens, which is the anti-elderly abuse that has been sponsored by this representation. And having said that, Mr. Speaker, we laud all the senior citizen members of this House, all those who are passionately representing this sector, dahil tulad po ng sinabi ninyo, ang bawat senior citizen deserve to age with dignity, love, and care. Mabuhay po kayo, and thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sandanya. Majority
Thank
Leader.
you, my good friend, Tong Percy. Thank you po.
Mr. Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Salvador A. Plato, as well as manifestation of Representative Percy Sandoval to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate
Is
Action.
there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The speech of the Honorable Plato and the manifestation of Honorable Sandanya is referred to the Committee on Rules for Appropriate Action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no other members who wish to avail of the privilege hour, I move to close the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The privilege hour is closed. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move to consider House Bill number 4744 as contained in Committee Report number 1, submitted by the Committee on Basic Education and Culture, and may request the Secretary General to read the title of the said measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Bill 4744. May proceed.
House Bill 4744, an act establishing the Private Basic Education Voucher Program, providing for the creation of the Bureau of Private Education and appropriating funds therefore, repealing for the purpose sections 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 12, 14, and 15 of Republic Act number 8545, otherwise known as the Expanded Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act, which amended Republic Act number 6728, otherwise known as the Government Assistance to Students and Teachers in Private Education Act.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Roman Romulo of the Lone District of Pasig City to sponsor the measure.
The Honorable Roman Romulo of the Lone District of Pasig City is recognized. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, allow me to sponsor Committee Report number 1 on House Bill number 4744. It is the declared policy of the state to protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. As part of its mandate, the state is committed to establishing and maintaining a comprehensive system of scholarship grants, subsidies, and other incentives aimed at supporting deserving students as determined by established guidelines. These opportunities shall be made available to students in both public and private schools, with particular focus on those from the underprivileged backgrounds. Furthermore, the state recognizes the vital role of both public and private educational institutions within the broader educational system, acknowledging the invaluable contributions that private schools have made and will continue to make in advancing education. Mr. Speaker, it is important to underscore that the public and private sectors are not competitors, but partners in nation building. Public schools carry the fundamental responsibility of ensuring universal access, especially for the majority of Filipino learners. At the same time, private schools play a complementary role in expanding access, easing congestion in public classrooms, innovating in pedagogical practices and offering diverse educational options that strengthen the overall system resilience. Together, these two pillars of Philippine education ensure that no child is left behind, and that the constitutional right to quality education is upheld through shared responsibility and collective investment. Republic Act number 6728, as amended by Republic Act 8545, also known as the eGaspe Act, was enacted to optimize the use of existing resources within private education, acknowledging the government's responsibility to ensure the provision of quality basic education at the elementary and secondary levels. An assessment conducted by the Department of Education and the Asian Development Bank, or ADB, has confirmed that GASPE effectively delivers its services, achieving high levels of client satisfaction and adhering to its program design. Additionally, the program played a significant role in alleviating overcrowding in public high schools. Given this advantage, there is a pressing need to amend the law to expand the coverage of GASPE to include elementary and kindergarten education. Currently, Mr. Speaker, GASPE applies to grades 7 to 12, wherein challenges related to the poor learning outcomes remain a significant challenge. Expanding the program to cover these earlier educational stages would help address these concerns and ensure a more comprehensive support for students in need. According to the Department of Education, approximately 398,000 students transferred from private to public schools at the height of the pandemic in 2020. Between 2020 and 2022, public school enrollment increased by 1.5 million students, reflecting a 6.88% rise during the pandemic. In contrast, private schools faced a significant decline, with enrollment dropping by 997,000 students, a decrease of 23% compared to pre-pandemic levels. The proposed measure would also help address the nationwide shortage of 165,443 classrooms, which currently affects approximately 5.1 million students, commonly referred to as I-learners, who are compelled to study in overcrowded DepEd classrooms. Hence, this bill shall carry out the following main goals for its proper implementation. 1, to make quality basic education accessible by providing financial assistance to learners in DepEd schools who wish to study in private schools. And to expand the government assistance and subsidies of the law to cover kindergarten, elementary, junior high school, and senior high school learners. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, this bill features, among others, the following salient provisions. Expands the coverage of private basic education voucher beneficiaries to kinder to grade 6. Currently, grade 7 to 12 lang po ang covered. Under this proposed bill, kinder to grade 6 will now be covered by the voucher system. It also sets specific criteria for voucher assistance. It empowers student choice through a system that allows students and parents to select their preferred schools from a registry of participating recognized schools subject to availability of slots. Mandates the DepEd to establish, operate, and maintain a system and mechanism for monitoring program outcomes and to ensure accountability of participating recognized private basic education institutions. Mandates the DepEd to establish a program of assistance for the development of qualified recognized private schools and prescribe specific conditions in the implementation of the voucher system. Equitable allocation of the voucher program among all regions, including BARM. Establishes the following support mechanism: in-service training or INSET for the purpose of improving quality of teaching in private basic education, and teacher salary subsidy to grant government subsidy to teachers in recognized private basic education schools participating in the voucher system program, which shall form part of the exclusion from from gross taxable income. It creates the Bureau of Private Education, mandates the Basic Education Assistance Council to be responsible for policy guidelines and direction, mandates government assistance and subsidy service under the BPE to be responsible for day-to-day administration, penalizes a private school after due process for violating this act, and provides the implementation of the provisions stipulated in this act for kindergarten and elementary levels for beginning school year 2026-2027. Again, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, right now we are facing a shortage of 165,000 classrooms. It would be impossible for us to build 165,000 classrooms at the soonest possible time. We all know and acknowledge the fact that we are also facing a learning crisis. Many of our students in our basic education lack functional literacy based on all surveys that have been conducted. We need to act and we need the help of the private schools. Under this measure, the expansion of GASPE or the voucher system to K-6 would allow our students in congested DepEd schools to transfer to nearby private schools. And let me also point out that under the proposed measure, it will now be outcomes-based. All private schools that wish to avail of the voucher system must have their students take the assessment test to be given by the Department of Education. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, this bill passed on third and final reading during the 19th Congress. Hopefully, this 20th Congress passes this measure at the soonest possible time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, esteemed colleagues.
Thank you, Honorable Roman Romulo, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend consideration of House Bill number 4744.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to consider House Bill number 4745 as contained in Committee Report number 2 submitted by the Committee on Basic Education and Culture, and may request the Secretary General to read the title of the said measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill 4745, an act establishing public basic education schools in geographically isolated and disadvantaged and conflict-affected areas, providing access roads leading to last-mile schools and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Roman Romulo of the Lone District of Pasig City to sponsor the measure.
The Honorable Roman Romulo of the Lone District of Pasig City is recognized. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, allow me to sponsor Committee Report number 2 on House Bill number 4745. The Last Mile Schools Act is not just about building schools. It is about securing the future. It seeks to ensure that no Filipino child is left behind regardless of where they live, their cultural background, or the geographic challenges that stand in their way. Access to quality education is a constitutional right and a cornerstone of national development. Education remains the greatest equalizer, opening doors of opportunity for every Filipino. Yet, for many children in far-flung and underserved communities, the promise remains distant. Our indigenous peoples, the stewards of our culture, traditions, and natural resources, continue to face some of the harshest barriers to education. The state has a duty to guarantee that they too are given equal opportunities to learn, to grow, and to contribute to nation building. The Last Mile Schools Act responds to these challenges. It envisions schools that are structurally resilient, context-appropriate, and adequately equipped to deliver quality education in the most remote corners of our country. We must also recognize the vital link between infrastructure and education. Economists have long pointed out that underinvestment in roads and education hinders the development. According to 2023 data, 99% of national roads are paved. Yet DILG data reveals that only 45.3% of local roads are paved, and many remain in poor condition. The same disparity exists in public school facilities, particularly in JIDCA areas where school buildings and personnel are often lacking or entirely absent. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, this measure was already approved by this chamber during the 19th Congress. With the most urgent need to bridge the education gap in our most underserved communities, I respectfully seek the immediate passage of this measure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, esteemed colleagues.
Thank you. Honorable Romulo, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend consideration of House Bill number 4745.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no more business left for the day, I move to suspend session until tomorrow, October 8, 3 p.m.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The session is suspended until 3 p.m. of October 8th.